Hi, my name is Kate Rouse, and I'll be presenting my vulnerable populations lucid chart. You'll see all these factors are factors that contribute to vulnerabilities among the populations, like we discussed, the homeless, the rural area, the adolescent population, or even those with mental health. We can start with economic status. Economic status affects many of the factors, including nutrition, because if you don't have enough money, you're not going to be able to access adequate foods for good nutrition. It also affects health status, because they may not have access to health care, and it can affect their overall well-being. It also affects their education, because they may not have the funds to access education. And that also interacts, because without education, it affects their economic status. And same thing with health status. If they're ill, it affects their economic status, because they may not have the proper funds because they're spending all their money on chronic illness. Another one would be nutrition down below. Nutrition affects a lot of other aspects as well, like health status, because if obviously they can't have proper nutrition, they can suffer from a lot of health disparities. Also, it affects environmental factors, because they don't have access to the proper foods. And like we said, it's impacted by the economic status. Down below is prejudice, and prejudice is actually impacted by the economic status, because there is some prejudice against those that are poor or impoverished. Prejudice also affects environmental factors, basically access to different things due to prejudice. And then on the bottom, you'll see environmental factors. Those are affected by many of the other aspects, including stress. So stress can contribute to the environmental factors, and environmental factors can actually add stress. And education as well, depending on, where they're living, how they have access to, whether they have access to education. Nutrition, same thing, whether they have access to, healthy foods. And then health status, environmental factor can largely affect the health status, especially if they are homeless. They suffer from a lot of different illnesses that are caused through their living situation. The next one, as you can see, is stress. Like we talked about, it affects environmental factors and is impacted by that as well. And health status. So stress plays a big part on people's overall health. And then above that is education. Education, like mentioned before, can affect a lot of different things. So environmental factors and economic status. So it can impact whether people have the ability to make money. And if they don't have any money, it has the ability to impact whether they have access to education. And then above on the top is health status, which plays a huge part, as you can see all the connections. So like we talked about, health status can impact the economic status by using a lot of their financial resources if they have a chronic illness, and also if they don't have the money, the economic status, to actually access adequate health care. And then, like we mentioned, nutrition as well, and the environmental factors, and stress and education. If they have chronic illness, they may not be able to continue with their education and stay in school. So overall, you can see that every aspect that influences vulnerabilities are interconnected, which makes it just very obvious that how difficult it can be for these populations and how vulnerable they really can be. Thank you.